Field Report, General Drozdowski, 8th Army, 1st European Front, Volkovysk Sector, August 1942. Units engaged in combat operations in the forests east of Bialystok have delivered harrowing reports. Enemy counterattacks have been effective, but at an incredible cost of lives. German troops generally begin assaults with massive but largely ineffective artillery bombardment, followed by direct infantry assaults against our lines. The attacks are incessant, preventing any kind of defensive works. As we enact tactical retreats towards the fortification line, loss estimates on the enemy side amount to about 30,000 dead or wounded. A major hindrance towards offensive moves against the strategic position at Bialystok is enemy aerial superiority. Despite their losses, the German Air Force is still capable of mounting simultaneous campaigns, while our wings must concentrate to control a single region. Recommendation to wind down anti-bombardment operations over Ukraine and requesting urgent air support for future attacks into Polish territory. The reports were not exaggerated. If you look at the last two major actions near Bialystok, where we had to give some ground, the cost on the German side for doing so, 12,000 here and 14,000 here, is absolutely devastating for their overall numbers. Still, they appear to be able to sustain these, and most of these divisions are at strength. So, for now at least, some of them. Well, we're seeing some infantry divisions here that actually are struggling. So they still seem to be mostly able to sustain these kind of losses and push us back towards the fortification line. The bigger issue is, as mentioned, the air situation, because we are now fighting over the Polish air zone, where we currently don't have air cover, and we are facing not a massive amount, but a somewhat effective amount of support aircraft, close air support aircraft, that are costly in terms of offensive operations. We'll see if we can hold the position here near Lvov. I am redeploying the 14th Army there to make a difference, but I think the counterattack, we have pushed them out, but the counterattack probably cannot be held back too easily here. But that's it's not a huge issue. That was mostly to somewhat relieve this the sector here south of Brest-Litovsk, and overall we'll have to see how that goes. But we have the 4 tank divisions of the 6th Army, the 4 heavy tank divisions of the 6th Army, and I'm going to stop the assault here for now. We could probably retake that position without too much trouble, but we're not going to be able to hold it that easily. So I've got the heavy tank divisions operating freely, simply because of the sheer number of enemy counterattacks that are problematic in terms of actually getting units deployed into offensive operations while they are constantly pinned. So we may have to. If we retreat here, we'll have to retake the forest east of Bialystok and the open plains southeast of it, and then move towards a concentrated attack against Bialystok. What we may have to do, though, is to include the sector northeast of the city to prevent assault across the whole line here to prevent enemy counter-offensives in pinning us and in delaying any kind of breakthrough once we've pushed out troops from the positions. Now, Bialystok is one of the last supply hubs that is supplying the operations in the area. The loss of Memel has already started to cause them significant problems further north. So once Bialystok is out of the picture, I think the northern front, at least this part, is going to be mostly collapsing. So we should be able to sweep through towards, the plan remains to sweep through towards Suwalki, cut off and destroy the northern sector of the Reichspakt troops, and then move on Königsberg proper before shifting to operations south into the oil fields that are located mostly in this region. So if we can, this is all controlled by Austria, but obviously it is going to be somewhat it is going to be somewhat traded towards Germany potentially. So if we can reduce the oil from these oil fields, that'll put a dent in their potential for future offensive operations and general supply for the mechanized units, while we have ample oil ourselves. The other operation that is being planned is the naval invasion of Ceylon. We have 4 divisions under Vatutin, who I believe is currently ill, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I can actually see it here. He's a very new commander, so he is going to be doing some experimental naval landing, first operations in the new Russian Empire. And we have only a few submarines in the region to support this, but it might be enough if the it's currently Indochina, the German East Asian Navy is not present in the theater. We might be able to surprise them with a landing towards Ceylon. The question then becomes: can we maintain shipping here, or are we going to see the freight transports that have to deliver essential rubber over into the Indian Federation for land transport? Is that going to become a bigger problem? But just to deprive Germany, which is already struggling getting there because we are controlling the Suez, so they are having to ship around the Cape, and that is already being intercepted in the Atlantic quite effectively. Plus, the British are somewhat in control of the North Sea, so Germany is already struggling getting rubber. But depriving them of their resources, both rubber and oil, will put a serious dent into the effectiveness of the German war machine. So for now, while we are retreating here, and I am probably not going to move the mountain divisions any further, we're going to start holding this position here. And I do have to recreate some of the front lines because some of the units have become detached. So let's get the 16th Army. These are also 16th Army troops, but let's get the rest of the 16th Army troops to prepare a fallback line. We can probably hold this position. So if we prepare a fallback line, is this position attackable from here? I think it would be. Okay, so we'll prepare a fallback line here with the 16th Army divisions, and the rest of the troops are going to move in as well. So we should have enough to hold these lines here. We might actually leave some more here just to make sure that this doesn't fall. So we should have enough units here to hold the line. We've got the Drozdowski's 8th Army, which is currently conducting tactical retreat to hold the northern sectors. Actually, these troops probably more needed here. And we should be able to hold that without too much trouble. And then we'll pull the tanks back a little further. And I might pull them back from. No, we'll leave them here for now, just to bolster the defenses because these troops aren't entrenched yet, and to prevent any further breakouts. But Brest-Litovsk is holding, and we'll see if the southern sector holds. So we'll reorganize things. We'll get the troops to actually give them a chance to dig in. And hold the defensive line for a while we pull back the heavy tanks. I could use a few more heavy tank divisions. We're actually just short of infantry equipment at this point. Interesting. So that's actually the gap here. It's a bit of a shortage, but we are getting the production up and running relatively quickly now. We're at 54% efficiency. So that output is still going to double over time, and that should be sufficient to deal with the shortcomings relatively soon. Which means that if this front line here is calming down a little bit for now while we are preparing, and yes, the other one, obviously we are going to need the Air Force to cover the Polish air zone. And right now we're shooting down bombers and enemy fighters over Ukraine. Belarus is quiet. But if we are pushing into Bialystok, then the Polish air zone needs to be cleared. That gets us, that means we can actually probably for now keep a bit of an eye onto the Kenyan situation, where we are, and the Austrians have deciphered us. That is not good either. I think we have to divert a bit into encryption. Let's do that. So let's improve our encryption somewhat. And we have rescued an operative. I think it was Smirnova who had been captured, so she's been rescued, which means we currently have 2 operatives in Germany. I am going to see if I can deploy, I'll deploy somebody, I'll deploy her to the Bialystok sector, and I'm going to deploy Andreeva to potentially towards Poland. Or further into Germany to make sure that we have the best possible insight. I don't like deploying single operatives, because if they get captured, I don't have a supply network. I don't have an intelligence network. So I might deploy both of them towards Bialystok for now. That is going to scale down the operations, because we've got 2 operatives here. But I do want to have a second operative in the area to mount a rescue operation in case they get covered. So let's do that. And then once that's cleared, we've got 2 agents in Germany, including Gertrud Meyer in Berlin, who is a double agent and should do good work here. So we'll prepare that going forward. I just want to make sure that the organized retreat here is functioning as expected, and these troops are staying on their lines here rather than we don't want to necessarily immediately counterattack at this point, because that's what got us into the trouble in the first place. So let's seize the counterattack, even though we could, but I want to get this organized a little bit better, because if we just retake positions, then we're running into the same trouble again afterwards. So I need the troops to build defensive positions first, and we'll get the tank divisions prepared for once the defensive position, everyone's entrenched, we get the tank divisions prepared for the push through, as well as the mountain divisions who do need to cover the northern sector as well. So we've got 9 divisions of the 5th Army now covering this area. And with that, I think we have the front line relatively well covered. Yes, I think so. So we'll get this to hold for now. We have a prototype decision available. Okay. That is the Dreadnought hull and the super battleship, because we have to go for quality over quantity. Designing new class of battleships allows the opportunities to focus on improving our ability to dominate the naval battlefield. Heavy guns, speed, or light guns. Why is speed having a clock on it? That's okay. So that would be 10% speed, but at the increased surface detection, but also increased surface visibility, because we'll be steaming ahead quite fast. Heavy guns would be main battery hit chance and piercing, and light guns would be, no, I'm going to go with heavy guns. That's the whole purpose of this thing. So heavy guns it is, despite that this might have been the desired one. So matter of priority, attack. Confirm that. And that gives us 15% hit chance and 15% heavy attack. So these things are battleship killers. We'll see if we can still get to see them in action. Okay, the positions here, we're going to stop the attack as well. This was simply, and I might move these troops here actually. This was simply meant to divert pressure, and I think I will need to shorten the lines a bit here. Okay, I might actually get them concentrated here. So we might try to retake this position, but as you can see, massive amounts of German infantry coming in now. So for now, we'll just dig in, hold the lines here again, and leave the possibility of mounting counterattacks while we are. This is the Ukrainian air zone. We don't have actually. We do have air support, close air support over the Belarus air zone. 4 fighters, 4 lone fighters over the Baltic states. We do have support of the Belarusian air zone, so any kind of attacks are going to start running into our close air support wings, which are slowly getting replenished. These, unfortunately, will be eventually decommissioned, simply because we'll fly them until they can fly no more, but simply because we can't reinforce them without adding recon equipment to our close air support. Recon planes, actually, something we need to do as well. I am thinking of, how far are we? We've got 22 days, and we do have, I'm thinking of getting the full metal airframe underway, and have that started, because we do have the research bonus here. And then do we have recon equipment? Yes, we do. We have photo reconnaissance. So recon planes might actually make more sense on the medium frames, to be honest. Do I need? I don't. I do have a 1936 medium frame, so that might actually be something to design. Before we go any further, let's do that on the quick. We do have the basic medium airframe. What would that look like? So I would effectively want something that is a recon camera on it. And well, let's give it a few. Let's give it a bit of armament. But the idea here is, and I think we don't actually have anything. This is strategic bomber, battlefield support, production. We'll use. Yeah, doesn't really matter. We'll use one just to have the MIO on it. But we can effectively, these things aren't meant to fight, so we don't need to worry about it too much. Their main mission is air recon. They have a range of 900 kilometers. They're not particularly fast, so I might throw a few heavy machine gun defense turrets onto these things. That still works with the. We've got the. What do we got? We can get some better engines onto this for significantly improved speed and thrust, and throw another set of turrets. How much are we? 22. I'm not going to need an awful lot of these, so we throw a few defense turrets that these things can actually defend themselves if they need to, and. We can't use that in a scout role, probably because of this. Yeah, okay. So we can only throw the defense turrets in, not the actual forward-facing machine guns. Need probably a different equipment tag. Let's do that. That'll be more for night fighters, I guess. Let's do these. Yeah, they're all not particularly helpful. Anyway, so that would be the DR2 scout plane. Has a bit of air defense from the heavy machine gun turrets, and has some attack capabilities. We're 23. We could throw another defense turret in, but they're on scouting missions. We're not going to send them over heavily contested airspace. I think this is good enough. So let's get that saved, and we'll get actually a production line. Who are we using for? We're using that for the dive bombers as well. Okay, so I have used the right MIO. Probably going to get something like 3 factories onto that. But the first we are going to need we might put the 3 factories in as quickly as we can. I am putting another 5 factories into artillery, because we have still a fair amount of outdated divisions. As you can see here, all the things with the little arrows, these are all outdated templates that need to be upgraded, and this is all short of artillery mostly. So throwing a few more factories into artillery, and we are constructing still, we got 14, 15. How many are we short? 5, 14, 19. Okay, so we need a few more before we are completed. So let's queue up a few more factories in areas that have relatively good infrastructure, if we actually still have these available. We do. It's relatively close to the front line, but I think we can now protect the Ukrainian air zone relatively successfully. So once we're through with the upgrades here, then we can get these underway. Okay, so lines are, by the looks of it, holding for now and organizing themselves. So we'll defend here first until we have actual air cover availability. And okay, they actually have moved off, or are moving off Ukraine. Are they moving over to Poland? No. We'll stay over the air in Ukraine for a little bit longer, just to make sure that there's nothing left over. But once we have aerial availability, we can launch a counterattack over Poland. Is this helping them in any way? Enemy air superiority? I don't think it is. Not with 4 fighters. So yeah, not really making a difference. Still massive panzer assaults against Memel, and I might need. Well, I don't want to completely strip the defenses here, because they are known to move around. I think for now we can we're doing not the greatest amount of damage. These are reasonably modern, with an armor of about 50 in general. So once we get the anti-tank divisions actually fighting on the front line, that should work out. The lack of heart attack here isn't helping. So unfortunately, it's the regular infantry, the regular guards infantry, which comes in first. I could just fall back a few of them because that aren't engaged currently. So, like, let's say take the 81st, 101st, and 105th. The 101st, the 81st, and where's the 105th? There. Okay, let's fall these back here. And once they've arrived, we can shift a few of the anti-tank divisions over to balance that out. Okay, Sweden, we're not actually currently. We might be able to do a few more operations here. I am thinking what we can do here is, because we've got the Norwegians holding the line as well. They have one fortified position in Västergötland, but we have potential. If we take Karlstad and Fredrikstad, we might be able to encircle most of their troops here. So let's see if we can push through the enemy positions, and that would create a complete encirclement of the enemy forces near Oslo, and open the path towards Göteborg. In the south, we are now looking at an encirclement here that should be complete while we're pushing the last of the troops out. Yeah, so we're relying on the Allies to hold the lines here, but in the meantime, we're getting every available division here to. In fact, this can just attack as well. Out of Dar es Salaam, we're getting every available division to clear out the last remnants, and that's going to be another 7 divisions that are going to be destroyed. Then we have, obviously, this is sort of this supply hub would be very useful if we could hold it, but I currently don't see that happening. What we can do is redeploy here, retake the supply position, destroy the troops along this line, and then make our way north. So ideally, we want to secure the lakes and the supply hubs around the lakes, and destroy as many enemy divisions here as possible, and then we can drop the maintenance troops here along the main supply line, because otherwise that would get lost. The Marines, how far are they with planning? Yes, okay, so the Marines are completed with their planning operations, which means we can get the submarines under Isakov in for naval invasion support. And that means we should be clear to launch, and we are clear to launch. So let's observe that particular battle. Marines are underway in their ships, only supported by 4 submarines. So this is a relatively risky operation. If enemy shipping can interdict the Marines, then it is a surprise attack, hopefully. But if enemy shipping can interdict the Marines, then things could get very bad very quickly here. So there are some German submarines operating in the area, but they're obviously no threat. But we've got submarines deploying actually from Arakan now to to scout the route and make sure that nothing is sailing out from German-controlled territory to interdict our ships here. All right, positions here are clearing, and the situation here seems to have stabilized. So we'll give everybody an opportunity to dig in. Okay, they're counterattacking again significantly here. That's why we were trying to hold this position. So let's already begin planning another counteroffensive. They are counterattacking quite heavily along the lines here, trying to retake the southern sector and trying to break. So their goal is to retake Brest-Litovsk, obviously. I have got the heavy tanks now in that's not the right sector. Let's move these south. And let's extract the heavy tanks here as well. So I want eventually I want the heavy tank divisions to go through the forests here and do a pincer again into this. But I'm going to need support maybe from the mountain divisions or anyone else who's available at the time in the north to launch a stabilizing offensive in the sector south of Grodno in order to make that happen. So let's make sure that this holds, and I'm going to need actually a shortcut for the Marines. Okay, so we are moving ahead in Sweden against immediate Swedish counterattacks here, but the goal obviously is the encirclement and destruction of the Swedish forces here. So if that goes well, then we should be able to capture quite a few of them. In Kenya, we are actually starting to struggle here, so we might need to wait. We'll wait this one out for now because we're all out of supply here. We'll wait this out for now. I don't think they can necessarily escape from there. I think we'll be breaking these lines reasonably quickly, so that should not be a problem. And the Marines are underway, so far unmolested, towards Trincomalee to deprive Germany of their rubber. We are defending against Swedish counterattacks here that try to relieve the pending encirclement, but the mountain troops are advancing. And we are so far holding reasonably steady, although the attack against the southern sector here is once more, they're attacking from three sides now, which makes it potentially more effective. So once the troops here are somewhat relieved, then we can, and somewhat recovered, then we can mount another counteroffensive to try and push them back out again. But for now, we'll see if we can hold on. And unfortunately, most of the troops here are 7th Army regular infantry divisions. So we're lacking a bit of firepower in this sector, to be honest. But we've got some light tank. We've got 4 light tank divisions here that are helping out as much as they can against infantry. They should still be reasonably effective, but we'll see how this goes. Counterattack in the north here is relatively inconsequential. It's just Model doing his things, and Guderian's actually sending panzer divisions here now as well. How's Memel looking? We've got 3 divisions over now, so we can send 3 of the anti-tank divisions. Let's get 3 of the anti-tank divisions over to Memel to help out there. That should balance things out a bit, and we'll get additional support. Currently, the anti-tank divisions are starting to engage. The night isn't particularly helpful, but they should be doing a bit more. They're doing significantly more hard attack damage against the enemy panzer divisions, and they should be able to. So they can effectively pierce the enemy tanks. We have piercing 67. That should be sufficient to break the armor of the enemy medium tanks. It wouldn't work against our heavies, but that's the goal. The armored operations in the south have mostly abated, so that line is holding steady. I am just getting a few more Marines and a few tank divisions. I'm going to stop with new deployments for now, just to just to make sure that we can work off the deficits here that we've got. Especially also flame tanks are starting to fall quite a bit. We've got these troops that are starting to plan that. Quick look at Sweden, where we are moving. Quick look at Kenya, where we have, where we can now move all these troops south already. We only need one division to take this sector. And then the rest of them is going to attack this mountain division here in the south. And then I think we've got, there we go. Then we've got the position mostly cleared, and we can redeploy to the lines here to see if we can stabilize and destroy a few more. But definitely, let's have a look at losses. Enemy combat losses, yeah, significant. So overall, quite a few losses on the enemy side. Even though mostly these are smaller battles, but yeah, they are losing significant numbers of forces. And obviously, Middle Africa itself is the government's still there, but other than that, not much. All right, landing operations at Trincomalee, attempted landing operations with these might be repelled by the looks of it. So the naval landing troops are facing significant port security forces. There's Schutztruppen as well as a regular German infantry division. So I think they will actually probably struggle to break this. We will see if this ends up failing. We are somewhat a little protected. How come? What did I put into this division templates? Can I see template? There we go. Oh yeah, it's the flame tanks. Yes. So we are bringing flame tanks and sufficient artillery firepower. Theoretically, these should be having a lot more firepower than they actively have. Why are we so low? So we're starting out with most of it's during the night. It's due to the night, and we're obviously slightly exceeding our combat width here. But yeah, we'll see if we can manage to break this. Otherwise, we might have to eventually get air support down there for another attempt at the landing operations. But we'll give it a shot. All right. So breakthroughs achieved in Sweden. The first breakthroughs achieved in Sweden, and I think these troops are going to be wiped out. We might as well already begin attacking in the north here, while we still have supply. Okay, these attacks are being repelled now at great cost for the enemy, that is. And our tank divisions are looking reasonably stable. I'm not entirely certain if this sector can be attacked. I think it can. Let's try that. Yeah, it can. But they're focusing on Brest-Litovsk. So this is actually a safe sector, a safe staging sector for the attack north of Brest-Litovsk, which means we might bring the. I would love to get a plan actually going. So let's give these a front line and an offensive line towards Bialystok. So that gives these a bit of an opportunity. I could deploy all the tank divisions here on that and just run straight from here, but I would and use the mountain divisions in the north. Where are the rest of the mountain divisions actually? We've got where are the newcomers? Oh, they're walking. That's why. I need these to please rapidly redeploy using railways and get onto the front lines. And then we should have enough to launch an assault across the whole line. So yeah, I'm going to get these tank divisions, if I can find the front line, that is. That is the 8th Army front line. That's the 6th Army. That is the 6th Army front line, but I don't think that's the 6th Army front line that I want. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that sorted. Give me a second. Okay, so we'll bring the heavy tanks for a concentrated thrust north of Brest-Litovsk. We are going to use the mountain divisions for a supporting assault role to clear the northern lines and to hold down any kind of enemy counterattacks. And then we will see if we can achieve a breakthrough towards Brest-Litovsk itself. We're still waiting for the newly raised ones, which are going to join the lines here as well. And obviously we do have to... okay, we have actually green air over Poland. Where are they now deploying? They have completely retreated by the looks of it. So they're still deployed over Ukraine, which is where most of the enemy bomber aircraft are conducting operations, and that's probably in support of the assaults here. So we do have to stay over Ukraine for the time being until we ground that down. In the meantime, Swedish operations are ongoing. I might divert one division here to pin these in place. And in Africa, we are making headway, but the landing operations do not necessarily look particularly successful. We do have the advantage in firepower, but it looks like we are okay. And now we are actually coming under submarine attack, which is very unfortunate. So that's what I was kind of afraid of. Unfortunately, I only have submarines operational in the area, and I'm not sure our submarines can necessarily defend against the enemy submarines, so I don't think they can. So we will have to abandon this assault because we're not breaking this, and abandon the attack and return home if possible. We're coming, unfortunately, under enemy submarine attacks. So the German East Asian wolf packs are now assaulting the transports, and we are probably going to take, unfortunately, relatively significant losses here while we are trying to retreat towards Madras. Which means we do need this destroyer cover for these operations in order to deter enemy submarines. That's what I was afraid of, and we can't get the Black Sea Fleet out, which would mean we would have to detach. We would have to send a detachment of destroyers from the Baltic Fleet in order to support this. So we could get a few old destroyers. Let's bring four old destroyers over and see if we can sail these around through the gauntlet, because the Germany is still very much active in the Baltic as well. We do not have superiority, so if these get caught, we're relying on our minefields here. If these get caught, then these destroyers might face a similar fate. So it's really more of a naval raid operation, really. But yeah, unfortunately, the landing has failed, the first marine operations, and we're going back to the drawing board after potentially taking quite some significant losses here and from enemy submarine attacks. Africa operations are successful, and we are still holding the lines here. Mountain divisions are almost in place, so we're just going to wait for these, and obviously the tank divisions have to get that up. But mostly assaults are somewhat abating now in September, that we're late autumn. Air battles still going on over Ukraine, and we're trading very favorably still. So we're doing significant damage to the enemy. We've got another 2 fighter wings that are potentially ready for deployment. Let's give these an ace. And I think they can combat. They can actually use their own get experience in combat. So we're going to get them into the fray here as well. I think we'll be soon at we're now having a numerical superiority sufficient to that we might be able to hold down, so simultaneously hold down the enemy positions here, and conduct offensive operations there. Right. So the loss of supply is quite noticeable on the enemy side. So these panzer divisions are significantly depleted of fuel and everything else, and they're running against experienced guards divisions to make that stop. And we've got a new ace pilot, always welcome. Well, we haven't taken an awful lot of losses recently, and we have actually destroyed a fair amount of troops along the Swedish lines here. So let's make sure that the mountain divisions don't move off. This is no, they're on the 5th Army, and these 3 divisions Okay, we'll clear out the front lines. We'll rebuild these. Oh, they still had a front line there as well, so you can clear that out as well. That means we should have mostly destroyed the Swedish forces east of Oslo, and that should leave the road open to Göteborg quite successfully. So, but we'll wait for the we'll wait for the divisions to have a little bit of to clear the positions first and to regain some of the organization. But with that, and this can actually go there as well. With that, we can concentrate. If Norway can hold this, that is, we should be able to concentrate on the push south, because we're reaching the edge of our supply again near Elverum. So I don't want to do any further eastwards expansion, but instead we'll push south towards Göteborg and see if we can take that off Sweden. Kenya, we are attacking from multiple directions. Two remaining divisions here that are encircled are going to be wound down, and yeah, the marine landing operations are going to be disengaged. Yeah, run. We're already doing that, but unfortunately, the enemy submarines are numerically superior. That our escorting submarines have not been able to drive them off. We will need destroyers in the area against enemy submarine forces to counter their attacks here, and we will need a way to break the enemy forces at land as well. Okay, we're starting to get the I need these north, all of them, please. We're starting to get the additional mountain divisions into position here now. And that means we're just waiting for the planning to conclude, and just holding off the enemy counterattacks for the time being, giving our divisions a bit of time to dig in. Attacks against Odessa itself. Attacks against Memel are held back. We've got six anti-tank divisions now entrenched here relatively well, and yes, that. We've lost 5 transports, unfortunately, which means that the Marines have been relatively badly bruised. That should be the wrong shortcut. There we go. The Marines have taken significant losses and are now retreating towards the Indian mainland for potentially another assault attempt. The submarines have proven ineffective, and will be returned towards the Atlantic operations. We're still waiting for the other ships to arrive, but we are going to need destroyers to counter enemy submarine forces in the area. So that threat was underestimated, and a mistake we will not be repeating. These are still very vicious attacks here. So I'm still thinking of launching another counterattack. For now, we're holding the position while they are exhausting themselves against the lines. Mountain divisions are in place, so these just need to get their organization back up after they've been deployed from the trains. And we are building up the planned preparation quite noticeably for the upcoming assault. And then the assault's going to run along the full line here against Bialystok. So that's the plan, and we will see that we can support that, and that should take some heat off. So once we can support that in the air over the Polish air zone, which has apparently we've got some friendly support planes, Indian support planes operating over Poland. That's not going to help them. The German Air Force has actually moved off, so we might have to begin supporting the Polish operation. Let's redeploy the Air Force and begin taking on the Germans in Poland. We've got 3 more wings that we can bring over here. We don't really have the airport capacity, however, for an attack against Poland. Probably from the Baltics we might be able to launch a few more. So we bring one over here, and we'll bring a few over there. and we've got a few more that we can. Brest-Litovsk is where the Indians are launching from. I might actually start building up some of these air bases a little bit, because we have relatively Brest-Litovsk might actually be a good position for a forward airbase. So let's get that prioritized. And we might also need some forward radar stations. So let's get the radar station up in Brest-Litovsk as well. I'm not sure if that's happening during ongoing combat, but we will see. All right, these troops here are rested and sufficiently rested and recovered, I would say, that we can get the 5th Army's Mountaineers, that one, to lead the charge towards Göteborg, and we've got the other 2 divisions there as well. All right, that should be sufficient to push to take Göteborg off Sweden, and then we will have to see where we're going from there, because we don't have the troops to support everything here. Oh, actually, no. We might actually have to abort this because we don't have the Norway. We'll take Göteborg. No, there are some Norwegian troops, but then we'll have to redeploy north because Sweden is breaking through the Norwegian lines again in the north, which means we have to reestablish the positions there. It's not critical, but something we should be doing. All right. We have cleared out the positions in Africa to great enemy losses, although it's not massive divisions, they're relatively small all in all. How is that looking supply-wise? We still hold this supply hub here. So I am thinking of redeploying our forces not towards the front lines, but instead redeploying them. They could retreat here. We do have a supply position here somewhere, this one. So if we redeploy along the lines here, we might be able to push south and cut off a few more in the mountains. So let's do that while we have the opportunity. So we need forces to redeploy along the lines here. And in fact, I'm probably just going to get one of the guards divisions to hold the supply hub. We do no longer need Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam is secure. And then we can shorten the front line there quite significantly. And we can focus on a thrust south to encircle the enemy divisions in the mountains. All right, that's ongoing. So that means with our air force redeploying towards the Polish air zone, we are going to start combating, bringing the fight into Reichspakt territory after a long period of defensive operations. I'm going to leave the close air support over Belarus, but the fighter wings are all moving. Yeah, the fighter wings, once they're all deployed, can begin launching into Poland, and we'll see that we can break the German air cover here, while we have completed the 85mm high velocity armor-piercing projectile of sorts. So that's good. That I don't think has unlocked anything. That was just an upgrade. Okay, that's 10% heart attack for anti-tank, so that's good to have. This is all ahead of time. So I did say I was going to start the full metal airframe, but do we have anything else that's urgent? This is all ahead of time still. We're working here. These upgrades would be nice. We might actually give the one thing we have to do as well is give the Marines a few doctrines, because this is all very new still. So we'll have to upgrade our Marines a bit. And this would be 5 org and 5 soft attack, and that's another 5 org. So let's sink a little bit into Marine research, I think, and we can use this one because the other one's already at point. We've lost one of our aces again, which means I have to restore one here. You over Poland, and you over Poland as well. 4 planes, I'm not going to bother, but we'll deploy we don't have full coverage of the Polish air zone, but our fighters have very long range, so we should have a somewhat decent coverage over that. Mission efficiency is still relatively low, but mostly that's due to storms. So when we're bringing the numbers here now, to shoot down the German aircraft. And the losses over the Ukrainian air zone have been absolutely devastating for the Germans and the Austrians in the past months. So that is, I think that probably may have broken the back of the German Air Force to a degree. All right, troops in Africa redeploying. Marines are trying to limping back to India, and I don't think we need to go to Madras. Where do we have sufficient supply here? It's all not particularly great. Well, we'll leave them where they are, and they should. We've got one division coming back still. Where's this one assigned? Shouldn't be assigned anyway. All right, we'll leave them where they are. We'll give them some time to. Recoup their losses and to begin planning the next operation. But yeah, the losses from enemy submarine attacks have been quite hefty. So we will see if we can manage to get the destroyers. We'll remove the failed attack order as well. We might try the port in Colombo. Maybe that is less affected. But we need many things. We need intelligence, we need air cover, and we need sea cover. So a surprise raid is not the way to go about it. All right. We have these troops are moving. Sweden troops are moving ahead. And here, do we have everything in place now? We do have. We are still working on getting our aerial superiority over Poland going. So mission efficiency still needs to build up here. They back over Ukraine. The Austrians are back over Ukraine, but without sufficient cover. So I'm going to get a few fighter wings to contest that, and to just shoot down any Austrian bombers. We should now have the numbers to contest multiple theaters as well. So we get these 3 fighter wings to deal with the Ukrainian zone, and the rest of them is focusing on securing the assault on Poland, which means we can now launch. How far planned is good enough. We should be able to now launch the assault against Brest-Litovsk. Once we have the we can launch the counterattacks with these Marines, although they're not yet completely ready. I do want to get we'll wait out this attack here, and then we'll launch the assault in the southern leg, and we'll divert some of the Marines north as well. How's our overall equipment? We're still short on infantry. We're still running short on infantry equipment, so that is still part of the problem here. Significant losses still incurring there, but let's wait for the assaults here to be deflected, and then we will launch the counterattack. So by now our guards divisions here are, and the mountain divisions are reasonably well entrenched, that they're not taking an awful lot of. Okay, the Germans are bringing more fighters in here now, so we don't need all of them over Poland. So I'm going to get another. This is a bit of a shuffle here, but we're going to defend Ukraine while focusing on aerial superiority over Poland. Actually, pretty brutal fights here in the beginning. We're trading pretty equally, mostly against enemy Focke-Wulf 190s again. So we might need. Do I have the command power? I do. So I'll give them additional ground crews, and here as well, just to bolster the air wings here that are building up their efficiency. Okay, attack here in the south looks reasonably dangerous. That I think we might launch another counterattack now, and just to relieve that position. We'll wait for this assault here. There's a few more divisions that need to be defeated against. And okay, they're immediately charging in again with another Panzer division from Guderian. So I do need the troops here ready. I do need to time that right. So we do need to defend against these attacks, and we do need the troops here ready to join the assault. Otherwise, this is going to become. We don't have the combat width to assault into this position near Bialystok here. This is going to be a tank battle. So Guderian has redeployed tanks by the looks of it. Not all of them. There's still some tank divisions trying to futile attempts at trying to retake Memel, but Guderian has redirected 7 panzer divisions for the attack on Brest-Litovsk, which means that we are going to see battles between the Russian heavy tanks and the German panzer divisions. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, all the ace is restored. The 14th Army has pushed out enemy troop concentrations here, and we're trying to time. We do have to see that Panzer Division repelled, but we're trying to time the assault against Bialystok now. For that, the northern sector is clear. So we've got experienced marine division, experienced mountain divisions. We're going to send out of these. We're going to send the most combat ready ones into the sector here, and the heavy tanks of the 6th Army are going to lead the charge all the way towards Bialystok. The secondary attack is going to happen in the north. The rest of the mountain divisions are going to launch a secondary assault north of Bialystok in order to clear enemy positions and prevent any kinds of breakthroughs. Obviously, immediate counterattacks against the 14th Army troops here. We will see if we can hold the line here now against the massive Austrian counterattacks. But we now actually, for one of the first times ever, have green air pretty much, and I still have no idea how they get these fighters over here. We have green air pretty much, must be from Königsberg, green air pretty much over the combat zones. So we are defeating the German Air Force decisively over Poland. We've got this clear skies over Belarus, giving our close air support options to attack. And we are simultaneously countering the remnants of the German Air Force over the Ukrainian air zone. So for one of the first times in this conflict, we're now in a position where we actually have aerial superiority. So I am going to have to begin giving the Marines a bit of doctrines, because they're currently without doctrines. This unfortunately costs naval experience, which I don't have an awful lot of because we're not actually using the Navy very much. So we're just going to start with that. This unlocks assault engineers. I didn't even know there was. Let's see if that's something we can change in the template while they are recovering. Assault engineers. Let's see. Is that a combat engineer company? So assault engineers are. What are these for? They are regular combat. Let's see. Regular combat engineers are giving, obviously. Hang on, where are we? Engineering company. Yeah, the engineering company will give us entrenchment and 15% amphibious attacks. So if we were to swap this out against assault engineers, we would lose the amphibious attack. And we would gain attack in marshes, but it would give us 15% breakthrough, but at the same time we would be losing 15% attack. So we'd basically just be trading out. Although it doesn't really show that in the stats over here. So I don't seem to be losing. Oh, because because I have to do this on actually amphibious. Can I actually see this for? No, I can't see that mission. It's mission specific. So right now we've got 47.5% attack. If I bring the assault engineers in, they would be. I would lose 15% attack on amphibious for gaining 15% breakthrough. And that, I'm not sure if that's worth it. Does any of the further doctrinal updates have a... Okay, this is for jungle. This is for amphibious. Yeah. Okay, so we would need the shore parties. All right, so the idea is correct. We just need to get the doctrines upgraded for the Marines. So we'll trade out the engineer company for assault engineers. And I am thinking of trading out... Do we have anything that gives us bonuses anything that gives us bonuses? And this is just movement. No attack bonuses. I mean, I would still want recon, to be honest. So we could put in the long range patrol company or the army scouts. Army scouts bring us 2 recon and noticeable amounts of other benefits. So that would impact defense, which is useful. Whereas the long-range patrol, I think the army scouts is probably the better one, honestly. For this would give us more recon, but actually I am liking the army scouts here, and it doesn't have a direct modifier for the terrain that we fight in, but in general, it has a noticeable. Has a boost on soft attack, hard attack, mild boost on breakthrough. So I'm thinking army scouts and the assault engineers instead of the... actually, we might trade out... Do we need AA? We're not fighting under enemy air there. I do like to keep the AA in though. So we'll do it like this. So we'll change the Marine divisions around a little bit, and we clearly need the doctrinal updates before we try that again. So this is anything else that affects the assault engineers? No. So we're definitely going to need the shore parties before we are attempting that again to get the additional bonus out of the assault engineers. All right, counterattacks rolling here in against the 14th, which is getting reinforced by a few troops. So now let's quick look around that I'm not missing anything. Okay, we are launching assaults. Okay, that's not going to happen. We don't have the supply here. Göteborg is too well defended. There are significant Dutch forces in defending Göteborg, so that is a fight that we cannot take, which means we are going, especially not without supply. So we are going to redeploy. Actually, we're gonna leave this to the Norwegians, but we'll redeploy in several ways. So we get the 11th Army divisions to make sure that Oslo is secured against any potential counterattacks. In actuality, we probably want to deploy a little further south to that. So as for the Fredrikstad kind of line here looks decent. I do want that to be extended though. So let's secure this position here. I don't know what the Norwegian deployments are here along this line. For now, we'll deploy them like that, and we will send the mountaineers north to deal with the Swedish incursion here that has once again cut our supply lines towards the rear. And with that, we can now focus on the Brest-Litovsk attack, and let's see how that goes. Okay, so the mountaineers assaulting northwards are crashing into Guderian's troops, and a few panzer divisions as well in the north here. There's six tank divisions, and another 6 here. So the battle here in the south is seeing Stefan's heavy tanks now with significant firepower, as you can see, crushing into von Manstein's troops out in the open. Are we seeing enemy tanks employed yet? No, not yet. But I think that that battle is going to turn relatively quickly. So von Manstein's troops are getting pushed out there without much recourse. We had a very brief tank battle, but I think they've already managed to get these out of the way. The assault in the north is somewhat faltering here, with facing the mountaineers fighting in the forests, facing significant German detachments. So we'll have to see if that will be successful. Otherwise, we'll just support that with the heavy tanks from the south once they have broken through, and that should not be taking too much longer. We are grinding down enemy reinforcements very quickly here. Just have to make sure that we're maintaining the combat width, and they still have reserves, but it should not be lasting too much longer. The support attack in the north has been defeated, unfortunately, so we're going to have to give our mountain divisions a bit of time to regain their organization and plan that once more. But we'll see if the attack in the south can succeed, and if we can manage to push towards Bialystok, or if we are getting countered here. A lone panzer division is going up, but I think we've dealt with them quite quickly. What have we researched here? Oh, anti-tank. So we're now having 25% hard attack and 100% piercing on infantry, which means that if I look at our guards infantry divisions, which we not have employed everywhere just yet, we do have what is our piercing? 36. Still not enough to deal with enemy tanks, but we're getting there. All right, that concludes this. We do have a few industry things we can do. I think this is production efficiency. This is retention, and this is growth. I think I'm going to go for growth because we're relatively good already with most of the things. So I'm going to throw this out here and get that underway. How's our special project coming along? We have a refined expertise. He gains 100 experience in land warfare. Okay. And we're working on the prototype. So that is so far looking good. 9% progress. So it's still going to take a while before we get there. We do have another ace pilot, but we also have enough to deal with, once again, the combat casualties, which is the biggest problem at this point. So exhortation of heroism is what we need in order to improve war support. Okay, the attack on the south is holding, or the position at the south is holding. Okay, we don't necessarily. I think we may have to change the line here a bit for these forces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think that's a better line. So let's make sure that we hold in front of the river position against Swedish incursions, while the mountain divisions here are coming into place to reconnect the lines in there. And we are bringing. Okay, we are losing a bit of ground here. That is no, we haven't lost any ground. No, that's fine. We're just waiting for the that division there as well. Just waiting for the divisions to make their way there, and that brings us back here. All right, we've broken through northwards. I do have a few old ones, and we are continuing the assault against Bialystok. Now the problem is we don't have divisions following up just at this point. We've got a few infantry divisions here that we can bring in. But, and we obviously have the divisions inside Brest-Litovsk itself. I think we can bring a few out because the attacks against Brest-Litovsk are now going to be significantly reduced. So can we maintain momentum against Bialystok without securing the northern flank? I don't think we can. I do want to clear the forest position before we go into Bialystok itself. We're currently being counterattacked, and I don't know if they actually have any troops in Bialystok. We'll give it a try. especially now that we're maintaining green air over Poland. There's nothing left over Poland, so we can divert another 3 fighter wings over to Ukraine and bolster that position. Yeah, there's nothing left over Poland. We've shot pretty much everything down that was engaging. Nothing left over Belarus, and the remnants of the German Air Force are now battling it out over Ukraine once more. So that means, with nothing left here, we don't need nearly as many fighters in the area, which means we can again connect there. All right, so I would like this to be cleared. Ideally, unfortunately, the mountaineer attack into the enemy positions has mostly failed. However, they're struggling to reinforce Bialystok itself against the tank attacks. So we'll see if our heavy tanks can break. This is not ideal territory for them, so terrain doesn't help. But we'll see if they can manage to break the lines. To break the lines in Bialystok itself and take the city. Otherwise, we'll stop the assault if we're not getting anywhere. And then deal with the northern sector first. We do have some defenders here now along the lines, so infantry has moved up to hold positions. The heavy tanks are not fast, they're very, very slow. But with air support, they might be able to make it there before we are getting counterattacked once more. And we do have the mountain divisions that can once again launch assaults here, and I am going to need all of them. So we're once again launching assaults here, and we'll throw in some infantry, some regular infantry from the lines as well, and we will see if we can make it to Bialystok before they reinforce. Okay, Dutch bicycle troops now reinforcing. Quick look around to make sure that we've not lost anything. Lines are holding against Swedish counterattacks, and we have no supply up here. Why is that? We should have supply out of Trondheim, but by the looks of it, it's insufficient to reach this northern position. How did we do this last time? Well, we don't have supply. They don't have supply. So let's see if we can. Let's see if we can get these mountain divisions to cut off the Swedish positions here, and then we'll try to destroy the incursion, clear up positions, and then deal with it again. The Indians would send us infantry equipment. Yes, please. So they do have some surplus now at this point. That's good to know. Let's ask around if anybody else has material support. Can we get infantry equipment? No. Has Persia got infantry equipment? Well, they're already sending us, so that's that. India is sending, and that pretty much concludes that. So, well, we will. The Indian support is going to be much appreciated for our deficits in infantry equipment, where we are still, due to the TOS, struggling to get that. Talking about TOS, I think we are now at, let's have a quick look. I think we are now at 10, level 10. Yes. Is there another level? I don't have that. Okay, there might be another. I do have to complete the decision of the Tula Arms Factory. Okay, then we can take this one. So we'll still work our way towards that. But where is the Tula Arms Factory? Where is it? We might not even have that particular focus done. That's Federal Systems, Stavka. Okay, so it needs, let's find this out. It needs a, what was the decision? Fund the GAU. That must be somewhere over here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's this one. Okay, so we have to take this one, and then we can get the last remaining point. Okay. All right, so back to just a quick look around if we haven't lost anything. Back to the front lines here. We have railway gun support, we have air support, and we have aerial superiority, that is. And we are still running into the desperate defenders in Bialystok. The question is, can we make it through there before? Yeah, because why are we struggling so much? It's mostly a combat width problem, honestly. We have the terrain and it's a tactical problem. Model seems to be having the benefit here over Drozdovsky, honestly. And it seems that our infantry divisions are struggling to dig them out. Okay, machine-assisted encryption is done. I think I'm just going to follow this on, honestly, from here. Just to make sure that our ciphers don't get cracked. So the question is now, can the tanks on their own break through towards Bialystok? Or are we going to have to support the attack in the north? And the problem here in Bialystok is obviously that they keep reinforcing faster than we can actually make our way there, because the tanks are now in multiple combat. Yeah, this is the same problem we had before. So we'll abandon this attempt, we'll defend, and then we'll clear the northern sector here. So for now, let's stop the attacks and ensure that, and then we'll take it step by step. So we'll ensure that the counterattacks falter here. Counterattacks along the lines have cleared. Attacks against, von Kluge is now leading the tanks here, all of the German panzer divisions, but they're not breaking through they're not breaking Memel anymore. Specifically also that we have control of the air at this point. So they're still fighting, but we have the control over the air. I think I might have to put these back into training for now, because I think they're losing too many planes. This one's down to 0, so we're going to disband that air wing, and I'm honestly going to disband both of them, because there's really no reason. We're going to get these 2 trained up for now, and then we might. What's our close air support? We're making slow progress there. We need more factories on the. Obviously, we've got only 6 factories on it, but we're still doing okay in rubber, so that's good to see. But we'll eventually need to do a bit more. Can we rebalance anything? Artillery still needs more. We're actually doing okay on support equipment. Do we have too much of anything? Yeah, we're good on support equipment. I think we can begin winding this down very slightly. So I might take 2 factories off that. That clears up the artillery. Anti-air, yeah, we definitely have to do still. Where are we with anti-air? No, we're actually doing okay. So, but I'm going to leave the 10 factories on that. Anti-tank is doing okay, but I'm going to leave the 5 as well. The heavy flame tanks can be, 15 factories is going to be needed on that. Light tanks, we're upgrading the light tank divisions, which have mostly been defensive recently, but we're doing okay. So I'm going to leave the factories on that. How many do we have on that? It's 10 factories, that's fine. Self-propelled artillery, we're still building up. Heavy tanks, they're building up, and now the self-propelled AA. And that means we are just going to have to go a little bit more into a few factories more to get our air force. But the tide has turned here, and we're starting to significantly outproduce Germany, I believe. In that regard, even the British have clean air, have green air over the Low Countries, so we might see another British naval invasion eventually. The Marines, bruised and battered, mostly being they're landing still. They'll be reinforced, so we're going to get them to begin exercises for now, and get all divisions here. We're going to get them to exercise, train up with the new, train up for the new doctrines, and we have destroyers now in this theater. So we're going to get the submarines. So they have made it through, to my great surprise, without damage. So these 4 old destroyers of the Alexandria class, which we have taken, these are Egyptian destroyers. We can return the submarines to Atlantic operations. And these 4 destroyers are going to be guarding the next attempt against enemy submarine attacks. That should be sufficient. So that brings us here, where we are fending off the last counterattack. And now I do have to pause that quite aggressively. Now we're going to join 5th and 6th Army, Stefan and Ungen-Sternberg, in the assault, probably not using that extremely exhausted mountain division, in the assault on the position north of Bialystok. So let's see if we can manage to secure that line and then take Bialystok itself. Now, ideally, I would push through and encircle troops, but the counterattacks are too numerous at this point that it's better if we can take the supply position, because once they've lost Bialystok, then they have to fall. The south still has supply out of the Polish positions, but the whole northern flank is going to collapse. So I'm not. Once we're taken Bialystok, I think from there, then we can begin moving north towards Suwałki and clear that out. The light tanks, mostly in defensive operations against infantry, which they're reasonably well suited towards. And we're actually struggling to hold the lines here as well. This front is a little bit weak. I'm thinking of pulling some troops off Odessa at this point. Guderian seems to be mostly fractured. So he's got some tanks still under von Kluge. No, they're actually all here. So he's given command to von Kluge for attacks against Memel, but they are running very low on supply across the lines here. So let's see how that works out. All right, so we have moved over, which means we have to bring the rest of the troops in as well. I am going to delete this line here for now. Let's fallback line, and we are going to bring the remaining troops in for the defense and potentially the next assault against Bialystok. And the heavy tanks obviously haven't taken too much damage. Heavy tanks can stay now, because the whole purpose of this was to take the position. And with that, I think we can have. Still got some 16th Army troops here, which are without frontline. But we'll bring the infantry north to defend the inevitable counterattack, and then once the mountain divisions are somewhat recovered, then we'll take Bialystok. Talking about mountain divisions, we are in place to destroy the Swedish position here. Two Swedish divisions have been cut off. So once we've restored the railway line, that should go well. Kenyan position, we have the troops mostly in position now. I think we're good enough to begin the assault and see if we can manage to encircle a few divisions there. And okay, that has been completed. So unfortunately, we don't have any supply. That said, we have an opportunity here to cut off a few more divisions. The mountaineers are relatively well specialized for moving through mountainous terrain, and that means, okay, tanks are moving a bit. Front lines now is getting secured, but this line here is starting to become a little tricky to defend because of the lack of firepower here. We are getting a few Afghan militia in as well, but I'm thinking of extending of changing the 6th Army front lines, because we don't need them. Let's get that sorted. We don't need them all the way up here because we've already got the heavy tanks. So I'm going to redeploy the light tanks more around this sector to help defend now that Brest-Litovsk assaults are somewhat blunted, to defend against the attacks here. All right, so light tanks deploying here. We've got the 16th, the northern part, half of the 16th, reinforcing the advance here. And we are effectively waiting for this attack here to fail, and then we are going to launch the next assault. I don't think necessarily the mountain troops, because they're a little exhausted, but I've got Drozdowski's 8th Army, which had to retreat last, and we can use them for attacks here as well. Shooting down, we've got Indian close air support helping. And we've got the fighters clearing out. Mission efficiency is a bit low for my taste. That could be due to this particular one. Let's bring these a little closer, and we've got too many air wings here. Let's bring these here. Okay, that might help a little bit. Oh, we're still fighting in the air over Ukraine, but the big question now is, once this attack is defeated here, and it shouldn't last too much longer, then we can... nope, that's still running, but from a different sector now. Then we can launch the next assault against Bialystok proper. But I do need the troops from the northern sector, otherwise I don't have the combat width to make that happen. Okay. Unfortunately, now the tanks are busy elsewhere. And we can't use them to defend because they're part of the front line again. Let's see if we can. Okay, we might have to take the tanks out of the front line once more, unless we can find a moment where the assaults abate. Okay, there we go. We have found a gap. The assaults have been beaten back, so now we're going to get the 8th Army as well as the 6th Army's heavy tanks to assault Bialystok directly and take the position of the enemy, despite the obvious counterattacks. Now Bialystok is reasonably well defended by Modul's infantry, but I don't think they will last particularly long. Why are we only having a 60 combat width? We should have 90 by all means, because we are attacking from two sides here. So I am not entirely certain why that is the case. 75 is weird, but okay, I'll take it. But the assault against Bialystok is running. We have now at this point air support, actually. We are still suppressing the enemy over Ukraine. And the Memel assaults here are starting to look a little bit more frightening now, though. It looks like they're desperately throwing. Okay, they're throwing everything in now. So they're desperately trying to retake Memel, and we will have to see if that can hold, or if we have to once again retreat here. It's not the worst case if we have to retreat from the German panzer assaults, but ideally we wouldn't have to. Now Bialystok getting blown out of the water. The enemy troops are getting blown not out of the water, out of their defensive positions relatively quickly, and by the powerful heavy tank divisions of the 6th Army, and with that Bialystok has fallen. And with the fall of Bialystok, we are bringing in the infantry now as well. With the fall of Bialystok, we are looking at the end of supply. Honestly, we don't have railways. We don't have supply from the railway ourselves, which is rather irritating. We would have to take this position here north of it, which we can. We can probably I would prefer to have moved out of here encirclement-wise. But let's see what So now that the objective has been achieved, the next objective is to reach the Suwalki Gap and take Mariampol and effectively destroy the rear of all of these troops. So for that, we are also going to co-opt the 8th Army troops here. These are not 8th Army troops. These are... Which ones are 8th Army troops? Anyway, we are going to give them... I'll find out which ones. We're going to get the 8th Army to support that as well. And the plan here is to push north and to, not in one go, but to surround and destroy enemy positions here. So Grodno... we can launch. We have forces stationed in Grodno which can launch an attack. We'll see. Maybe what we'll do instead is we'll see if we can push. Once the infantry arrives, we can push further north, and with the assistance of troops from Grodno and from the mountaineers from the south, we can, because we have got two positions to clear here. We can encircle this. We can encircle these troops here and destroy them and start breaking them down. We might lose Memel once more if the German armored counterattacks persist. So in that regard, I am going to bring my close air support wings north, and Am I going to get them back on? Yeah, I'm going to get them back on close air support. We'll bring the close air support wings north. This is probably the better position. They should have range either way. And get them on, get them to support Memel, which is kind of urgent at this point. The rest of the front line is holding very well, and I think we have mostly achieved our first objective. So the next strategic offensive is going to be to collapse the northern sector, take Königsberg, ideally encircle and destroy the German armored forces. So that would be enough, but we need to reduce the amount of infantry that they have available here. But if we can manage to break through, encircle their forces, and destroy the German tank armies, that would be a significant victory. Okay, we're holding the Norwegian line around Fredrikstad and between Fredrikstad and Elverum, and we have made progress in destroying a few more Swedish positions in the north. In Kenya, we have broken through as well, which means we can now launch the attacks. We might actually have to hold that in the north. Do we have? Okay, they've sort of broken out here again. So I think what we'll do is we will send these forces here. See if that works. Yeah, and we get these to clear out the southern positions. We've got some breakouts from Middle Africa divisions out of this mountain range that we had left open, but these troops can, and we have sort of secured this, but I don't trust friendly troops to hold it. So we've got another 4 divisions here that we can take care of. And with that, I believe we are starting to make more noticeable progress along the front lines now. We're still having shortages of infantry equipment that need to be dealt with, and heavy flame tanks and close air support. But we are making, we've actually got, we can actually train some more heavy tank divisions up, because all of these are short as infantry equipment. So let's get another, let's get another one. And then I think we actually can scale this down almost towards, how many do we have on heavy tanks? It's not actually that many factories. So we'll leave it 30 factories on heavy tanks. Okay, that is a lot. We can probably scale this down a little bit. Right now we're just upgrading equipment, but we can potentially scale this down somewhat, especially that it's heavy on the tungsten, and we don't have an awful lot of that. And we can get that into maintenance mode, because I don't need more. I don't need more than like maybe eight heavy tank divisions. That should be sufficient for most operations. I mean, if we have the material, we can do it, but I'd rather have concentrate a bit more on the air campaigns as well. But overall, I'd say we have, with the victory in Bialystok, we have firmly regained the momentum here. And from here on, we are going to grind north, destroy forces. These forces should all lose their supply now, because they have lost the supply position. So okay. The capital has moved to Mariampol, which makes that a supply, which makes that the core supply, the supply source, which means, of course, that didn't work out. Okay, that's why. So the what is this, Lithuania or something? Kingdom of Lithuania, unfortunately, has not capitulated, but they're still holding Mariampol. So that's why there's still a capital, which means that there's still supply. So that did not work as expected, but we'll get there. We'll launch another marine assault against the Germans on Ceylon once the Marines have been restored. The losses are noticeable, but it could have been worse. So we've got destroyer cover now in the region, and we can launch another assault there in the future.